Data collection and its impact on transaction processing systems. Data collection is the data entry of information and data that feeds into a transaction processing system. This information is then fed into a database for later processing. There are several types of data collection input. These consist of interactive real-time data collection. In this case, it consists of one or more devices connected in real time to a computer. Batch processing. In this case, batch processing consists of one or more portables that gather data for transmission into a computer at a later time. The hybrid. The hybrid is very common today, and it consists of a blend of both interactive and batch data collection. Next, we'll talk about the three types of data collection. In the interactive real-time data collection processing, we collect data and immediately process the information. This real-time processing allows for the immediate correction of errors. This allows for individuals to correct data entry errors that may be found within the data, to quickly update the information and pass it along for updating to the database. This type of collection typically involves a variety of inputs and multiple users. Batch collection processing. Batch collection collects data as a group, collectively in a file or multiple files, and processes it all at once. The processing schedule is time delayed, and the schedule for processing is predetermined. In this model, errors cannot be corrected during batch processing. In the sample above, we have two batches, batch A and batch B. Batch A goes first. Data is entered into the system. In 15-minute intervals, the data is transmitted to the database and a response file is sent back. 15 minutes later, data collected after batch A is submitted is sent along to the database, again in a 15-minute interval. A response file is sent back to indicate whether the batch files were successful. Most commonly used today is the hybrid batch and analytical or real-time data collection processing. The industry refers to this model as HTAP. In this model, we will demonstrate a depiction of data entry occurring in real time that is transmitted to the database. But here, in order to do the data entry properly, the organization needs to feed several files into the database in batch intervals on a frequent basis. Examples might be batch files of pricing, batch items of things for sale, and the inventory of those items for sale, so that users ordering online are able to know whether their item that they are interested in is available for purchase or is sold out. This process may be entered from various sources using real-time online processing. Data collected for processing may use batch data to perform these transactions necessary for real-time information. Examples might include retailers updating pricing of items through batch files several times throughout the day to ensure that customers are achieving the correct pricing for their goods. The last slide depicts the needs of a data collection system. We all know that data collection systems help to replace the manual process that once occurred on paper. Data collection systems that are electronic should have data validation. Things that we could edit the data against might include programming steps that would look at a date of birth and understand whether the date of birth has been entered correctly. Items such as month, year, century, and day could be read against a table for validation and returned back to the user if errors are made in the data entry process. Processing steps. It is critical to a data collection system to ensure that users know the processing steps that occur when entering information. Consistent data. The two pieces above, data validation and processing steps, actually result in some of the consistent data that we're striving for in a data collection process. However, other items such as length of fields or other variables might result in the way that the data could be consistently entered. Another example might be how users are trained in entering information into the system. Reliability. We want the systems that we replace paper with to be reliable, such that they are available on time and that they are reliable. It is very frustrating for users to try to do their work or enter information into a system that is unavailable. Therefore, in order to replace the paper system, the electronic transfer of information into the database should be available on time and send the data in a reliable fashion to the database. Coinciding with that, so rapid processing should be available by a data collection system. We wouldn't want to data enter information into an application and have it sit there waiting for transfer into the system for a long period of time. This causes stale data and allows the company to not receive the data as quickly as they may if it was a rapid transmission. Things that the data collection system might need include data encryption. This would mean that the data is securely loaded and transmitted to the database. Items such as personal health insurance information or personal identifiable information, name, date of birth, address, gender, etc., might be embedded within the information. Therefore, companies might have a need to encrypt the data in transmission from the data entry process as data is collected and gathered and sent on to the main database of the system. Security. Users might need security access into the system. Those that terminate from the organization should no longer have access to the data collection process or the application that collects the data. Controlled access would be the last piece that the data collection system might need to consider. In this case, users may have defined roles based on their own responsibilities within the organization that would limit their access to only certain pieces of data and may limit their access to what they can enter, change, update, or delete within the process. So with that, this ends the demonstration of data collection, what it means to the transaction processing system, and how it is a very important first step in replacing the paper process that we all traditionally have heard of, or key punch cards that we may have seen in our textbooks. Thank you.